Welcome to the Art and Soul Podcast. I'm Alicia, your fellow dreamer and guide on this path of healing. This podcast is our sanctuary, a place where artists, creatives, and sensitive souls like you and me can come to recharge and find inspiration. You'll find tips and tools to help you on your awakening journey. Let's dive deep and discover the magic inside of us. Hi, welcome to another week of the Art and Soul Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. If you're a new listener, thank you for being here. The last couple of weeks have been fun because I put out a fairly vulnerable and personal podcast, and so a lot of you are new to listening, and I'm so grateful you're here. I hope these informative podcasts are also just as fun for you to listen to and just as vulnerable, and that you feel just as connected as when I'm sharing my own personal story, because really all of this information is information I have gained through my own personal experience. And of course, I've had training and I've had mentors and all kinds of beautiful interactions with people that have gotten me to where I am today. But ultimately, it's been that process of trying and failing and learning and growing within myself and within my own story that has brought me here to this place of sharing with you. And the more I share, the more I realize I have so much to share. And I'm just so excited to continue this journey with you and expand it to even more things and more experiences, more tools for you, more places of connection for you. So this has really been just so much fun and such a beautiful process for me. So thanks for being here. I'm kind of laughing at myself a little bit because I just spilled my water all over the place. And today we're talking about manifestation and aligning your energy with your desired outcomes, your general desires, your creative desires. And sometimes it's funny to me when we think we have everything perfectly set up and we're so ready to move into the next thing or create the next thing or whatever it is. And something like spilling your water everywhere happens. And I'm not just talking about that, but something unexpected happens that kind of messes everything up, or something out of the blue just kind of happens that feels like you're moving backwards. It feels frustrating. It feels destructive. It feels like it's not part of this whole thing you just set up in your life. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and a little bit about why that happens and why sometimes people get stuck in that loop of feeling like everything is going really well and then all of a sudden something bad happens. Part of that is a mental space that you just are waiting for the other shoe to drop. But part of that is an energetic contraction that is happening in order to help propel you and manifest the things that you're actually desiring. The problem is sometimes people get too caught up in that negative thing happening or that unexpected thing that they don't or aren't able to move on and move forward to the thing that's really waiting for them. And the whole reason that they were given that sort of negative contraction in the first place. So we'll get into that a little bit more as we go, but I actually have a really recent personal experience related to something like that. So in my life, I have kind of been trying to move into the next phase. We have moved to a new city and I'm starting to build my clientele here. And as you know, I've started this podcast and all sorts of creative things, putting things out into the world. And I'm feeling really ready to kind of move into the next phase of my life. So I have been intentionally aligning my energy with this next version of myself and beginning to manifest some things that I have been wanting as this kind of next step of my journey. And so as I was calling in this new version of myself, this new timeline, essentially, this next phase of my life, I did this meditation that was a timeline jumping meditation. And what that means basically is that I was releasing all of the things in this current reality that I have that no longer serve me or that I don't see as a part of my reality moving forward. The things I would like to let go of in exchange for things that are more aligned with where I'm going and who I want to be ultimately. Sometimes that has to do with career or family or friendships, whatever it is. And so I did this meditation where I'm stepping into this new version of myself, and I am intending to manifest this life that I'm visualizing, this new life. I did the meditation. It was really powerful. It felt really powerful. It felt really great. And then that night, I went into work. I have a side job at a restaurant just for some extra income while I am in this life transition. And I got a write-up for something that was not fully my fault. It was a situation where I could have communicated a little bit better, but ultimately I did the things I was supposed to do in order to prevent what happened from happening. And it was crazy because I don't get in trouble. I just am not a person who gets in trouble very often. Even as a kid, I was not super rebellious. I was always following the rules and the directions. So it's very rare that I get into some kind of trouble at work or school or whatever it is. And it threw me off so much to get a write-up to the point that if for some reason I mess up again, then I'm fired. And that to me is whoa, the only time I ever got fired was during COVID, and that was because it was COVID and everyone got fired. And it kind of shook me to my core a little bit. This isn't me. This isn't what happens to me. I don't get fired. I don't get write-ups even. And then as I was sitting there listening to my boss talk to me about everything and listening to her interpretation of the events and everything, it hit me. Oh my goodness. I made this happen. I manifested myself into a new timeline. I stepped into a new timeline. And so therefore, the energy around me of my timeline that I stepped out of had to start crumbling down. And what it did was it threw me into a process where I started really going for some things that I've been thinking about in regard to my new timeline, my new identity that I hadn't quite gotten to yet just because I didn't have the motivation to do it or I didn't feel quite ready to do it. And this write-up, this confrontational situation lit a fire in me that caused me to want to shift my energy into the new timeline that I had just visualized hours before. Had I not gotten that write-up, now, thankfully, I didn't get fired, but for some people, that does happen. You get fired from a job, your spouse leaves you. Big, massive things happen that start to force you almost into that version of yourself that you are asking for, that maybe you wouldn't have had the strength to walk away from otherwise. I'm thankful that in my situation, it was not so extreme that I was scrambling and having to figure out some other options. And part of the reason is I think because this whole thing was so intentional. But it was just a reminder for me that when we step into something new like that, when we desire to step into something new, the old stuff must fall away. It has to. Because energetically, it doesn't align with this new version of you. So let's just define what manifestation is for those of you that this is a new concept. Manifestation is just the idea that you are bringing your desires, your true heart's desires, into reality. It's essentially bringing the things from your internal world outward. It's the things that you dream up, the things in your mind, the things in your subconscious, the things in your heart, showing up in your reality. Manifestation does not have to be positive. We manifest all the time with our words, our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs. We manifest the things in our life. Now, I know a lot of you will say that you didn't wish for these bad things to happen in your life if you have some negative, personal, painful, difficult things going on in your life. And to that, I would say, of course you didn't. And I'm so sorry if there are things in your life that you did not wish to happen, that are happening to you that are painful. And with all that sensitivity and knowing the nuance of each situation, because everyone's situation is different, what I will say is that our energy speaks for us. Our words, the things that come out of our mouth, affect the world around us. The things that come out of our heart and our beliefs affect our world. And also, the things that we need to grow in, we will be given situations as opportunities in order to grow in those things. And all of that is based on the energy that we carry and the energy that we come into earth with. Sometimes that's generational energy. Sometimes you are breaking an energetic pattern or a cycle in your family line. And so you are given the opportunity with certain experiences, whether they be difficult experiences or painful experiences, you are given the opportunity to make a drastic shift in your life for your entire generational line. And the reason this is important is because the more people that become free on the planet, the freer the planet becomes, the freer we all become. And so as we look at manifestation, we have to also notice and recognize the things in our life that maybe our energy has manifested that are difficult. It's an important part of the process. We can't just look at all of the beautiful, amazing, incredible things that we want to do and totally ignore what we have manifested. And like I said, those things, those painful things are opportunities. They're opportunities for your growth. They are information about your own energy. They might be information about energy that you've absorbed from other people or the way that you let others influence you, let others' energy influence you. All of that informs our reality. So looking at our life that way allows us to realize that our life, our reality, is just an expression of what is inside of us. Manifestation is really just a flow between you and that divine creator, a flow of communication, a flow of creation. This life is about creation. We have this divinity inside of us. We have this power to create with our words, with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our emotions. That power is inside of us. And when we are in alignment with our own inner knowing, our own intuition, and that divine creator of the universe, when we have that flow back and forth, that's when we most get to live in joy, in happiness, and in the flow of the life that we're meant to live. So manifestation is not necessarily just thinking of all the things you want that would be great, like, oh, I want to have $1 million and I want to have this really cool car and an amazing house and I want to go on this vacation and I want to have 2 kids and I want to be a boy and want to be a girl and I want to have an amazing partner that loves me and takes care of me and all of these things. Like, I mean, all of those are incredible things and amazing things. But manifestation is really being in alignment with your highest good. And by doing so, organically co-creating with that divine energy. Now, as we talked about when we talked about the subconscious mind, if you haven't listened to that before you start intentionally manifesting, I recommend going and listening to that episode because it talks a lot about the science behind the subconscious mind and what is a vibrational match to your own energy and how to ensure that. So as I said, manifestation is just the outer world matching what is internal. And when we go to science and we go to quantum physics, the idea is that our bodies, our subconscious, our words, which are energy, they are vibration. Our thoughts are vibration, our emotions are vibration. The idea is when we emit those vibrations from our body via our energy field, it acts as almost like a radio tower and it will attract that same vibration in the world. This is just how the world functions on a vibrational level, on an energetic level. So you can think of it like this. If you have 2 guitars in the same room and you pluck the E string on one guitar, the E string of the same tone will vibrate on the second guitar. You didn't pluck the E string on the second guitar, but the reason it vibrates is because of something called resonance, and it wants to be in coherence with the first vibration. So this is what happens in our world. You can think of your own body as a vibrating note or sound, and out in the world, you will either attune to the things in your external environment, or you will be the main source of the vibration, and the things in your external environment will attune to you. And so part of that, and why I think it's so important to talk about the subconscious, is because the subconscious has 95% control of those frequencies that we are emitting from our body, from our mind, from our heart, from our body, our system. Only 5% is conscious. And so 95% of the time we are emitting frequencies, we're emitting signals into the world that are resonating with other things out in the world. And if we don't know what those are, if we're not aware, if we are not in constant communication with our subconscious, if we have no idea what we're sending out into the world, then of course we're going to be attracting things that match a vibration that we don't understand. We're going to wonder why certain things are showing up in our lives, or maybe you're really, really good at feeling in alignment and manifesting things within your career, and it feels like that's really working out for you. But you're having a really hard time with your relationships. You're having a really hard time with love. And that may be because the vibration you are putting out in your career is one of confidence, is one of success, is one of certainty. And that may be because you've had a lot of success in the past, so it's informed your future. That may be because your parents have had really successful careers and that was kind of instilled in you. And it goes back many generations that your family was just able to make money. And then you look at your love life and it looks like it's falling apart. And that may be because you have experienced a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of heartbreak. And that past experience is informing your future and informing the way that you perceive the world. Ultimately, what that does is it starts attracting more of that same thing. And this is not consciously. I mean, consciously, you might be like, yeah, I'm looking for a man in finance. 6'5", blue eyes. But because of your own internal resonance, your own internal vibration, you would never be able to hold or vibrationally match that thing you're looking for because you've got to heal a little bit first. And that's the thing that I want to get to about manifestation especially, is that before you can focus on external manifestation and your external world, you must focus within. When people are having a bad time, when you're having struggles in your life, when you're having pain, hurt, difficult experiences, human nature is to want to just get out of the pain. And so you have this idea that if you manifest all of these better experiences or relationships or whatever it is, that it will free you from the pain you feel internally. But unfortunately, that's just not true. If you haven't healed within yourself, if you haven't looked at yourself internally, those external factors might make you feel better for a little bit, but ultimately, either the pain will come back around or you'll lose everything that you gained externally because you weren't in a place of holding that vibrationally. You couldn't hang on to it. This is why people who win the lottery and maybe they were living in poverty might go on a spending spree, or they might be okay for a little while, and then you check back with them a couple years later or even a few months later, and they've spent everything, they've lost it all, and they're worse off than they were before. And it's because their vibration could not hold the level of energy, the vibrational pull of that new wealth, that new abundance. They didn't know how to hold the abundance and keep it. And consciously, they might have thought, oh, I want to invest or I want to do all these things. And yet the money just slipped away. And that's because it's all subconscious. It's not a conscious choice most of the time, unless you're working with your consciousness. And so day by day, your body is working to call in the things to you that are a vibrational match for your system. And part of the reason for this as well is that your internal system doesn't like change. Your brain does not like change. It likes to be comfortable. And so it's going to continue to attract the things into your life that make it feel the same way that it knows. So even if those are negative experiences, it's still something that your brain knows and it still feels comfortable to your brain and body. To really step outside of your comfort zone, to step outside of your known reality and to manifest external results, you must start internally. You have to start internally. And this is why a lot of people who try manifesting exercises or affirmations or meditations and all of that don't actually see any results, because manifesting is not just about positive thinking. It's not about that really at all. Manifesting is more about who you become than what you do. So again, if you are not the person that would be able to make a 6-figure income and have a loving partner that you love back, or have the 5 children that you want to have, or go on all the vacations that you want to go on, or have the incredible career that you've been dreaming of, if you right now take a look at yourself and you cannot visualize, you cannot envision this version of you doing all of those things and holding all of those things, then you've got work to do to become that person. And this is really about being honest with yourself and having an awareness of yourself and where you're at. And again, that's why we go internal before we start doing all of this external stuff. 4 years ago, I wanted to have a job where I was working for myself and I was making money online, and I was also making money by helping people in person. And yet, the version of me that I was at that time was not in a place where I could have handled that. I wanted it because I thought it sounded so much better than working at an office or working at a restaurant or working for someone else, and because I was really disappointed about my acting career not panning out the way that I wanted. And so I thought, oh, if I just am making money for myself and I'm making thousands of dollars every week and I'm helping people along the way, I'll probably feel a little bit better. But I had so much internal work to do to let go of some of that old vibration. Because if I had walked into what I'm doing now with all that old pain, all that hurt, with my passion being divided and being actually for something else that I just felt like I was failing in, even if I had started to manifest some of the things I'm doing now, I wouldn't have been able to sustain it, because this version of me has different qualities than that version had. So I had to start visualizing and recognizing what qualities of my personality, of my thought patterns, of my emotional reactions, what qualities did that current version of me have? And then I had to notice what qualities I would need in order to be that future version of myself. That future version of me, what qualities would she need to do all of the things I wanted to do? And it wasn't until I started to embrace those qualities before gaining the things in my material reality that I actually started to see the manifestation in my reality. So when you become the person that would have all of those things, you start to get those things. It's not about thinking yourself into your new life, and it's not about never having a negative thought or a bad thought. Having a negative thought does not ruin the chances of you getting the things you want in your life. Negative thoughts are part of our brain. They're there to protect us. They're working for us. It's that we must change our beliefs. Our beliefs are where our thoughts are born and our emotions are born. So if you have an anxious thought or a fearful thought about something, the question is where that's coming from deep down. And that is the stuff we have to work with in order to become who we need to be to manifest the things that we want. So a lot of times in the manifestation dialogue, you hear a lot about raising your vibration. And what does that actually mean? Raising your vibration really is not the correct term. I've heard it put as raising your voltage, and I like that a little bit better because it implies that what we're doing is not actually getting to a different level. What we're doing is charging up our internal battery and aligning ourselves with our highest good. And to me, what that looks like is removing the things from our energy field, from our life, like our thoughts that are not serving us, our thought patterns, and our emotional reactions that are not serving us, and filling up our energy with more of ourself, more of our pure, our true energy. So on a day-to-day basis, that looks like doing things that support you at that core level, energetically, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and removing the things in your life that do not support your highest version of you. Removing things in your life that you know drag you down, that you know put you in those spirals, those thought loops that are painful or not so great for you. Changing up your environment for success to build this version of yourself that is able to contain the things that you want. And so as I talked about, when you start doing this, when you start changing your internal world, and then you start visualizing your new life, you start dreaming about your new life, and you're finally moving into a place where you are capable of experiencing that and not being too overwhelmed and not self-sabotaging and not backing out, then the things in your life that are not a vibrational match to that new reality will start to fall away. So old patterns will break down. Relationships might fall away. I especially want to talk about relationships for a second because when you shift your own energy, think about that guitar string metaphor for a second. When you shift your own energy, on an energetic level, other people are going to notice that shift. Sometimes they notice it consciously and sometimes they don't at all. And sometimes they don't know why they feel differently about you, but they know that something is off. And it's because our energy fields communicate with other people's energy fields just like those guitar strings. We are putting out vibrations and other people are putting out vibrations, and our energy fields intermingle. They communicate. They talk to one another and they ultimately attune to one another. And this is why people say that it's so important to think about the people you surround yourself with, or you are a combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Because your energy field, naturally, this is a survival thing. Your energy field is going to naturally attune to the energy fields of people around you. And if your energy field is not stable, if you are not in a place of being able to be grounded and be regulated, your nervous system is dysregulated, or you're in an emotional state, or you don't know who you are, any of that kind of stuff, you're going to be very influenced by other people's fields. What happens when you begin to change, and what happens when you begin to change your energy, is that other people recognize that your energy has shifted, and they either have to match that energy shift because you're standing in your energy now. You are grounded in your own energy. When you're starting to change your energy, it means you've taken hold of your energy in some way. You are the authority of your field. And so if you weren't an authority in your field before, other people could have easily manipulated your energy, could have easily stolen your energy, could have easily utilized your energy for their own purposes. And again, this is all subconscious. This is just an energetic exchange that's happening, usually. But now, when you've chosen to change and you've stepped into your power, their energy is now confronted with that new version of your energy. And so if they don't want to match that change, if they don't want to change themselves, if it calls out their energy on some of their weaknesses or some of the ways that they don't want to shift, typically they will leave your life. Or they'll kind of stop talking to you and slowly fizzle out, or their subconscious will make some big dramatic exit. And, you'll get in a fight or an argument or have like a falling out of some kind. And that is simply because their energy could not sustain being around your energy, because your energy was requiring an up-leveling of their energy. And so sometimes we feel really upset and really sad when we do become new people and people can't understand it. Well, sometimes people can't understand it on a conscious level. That's definitely true. But on a subconscious and an energetic level, sometimes it's because people don't want to shift or change or address that change within you energetically. And so it's really sad to lose them, but at the same time, if you want to go where you're visualizing and if you want to be all the things you are trying to become, sometimes those people have to fall away. And the same is true with a career. Like we talked about, you might get fired from your job, or you might get a promotion, or you might just feel like you need to leave your job. Or something happens and it's like, this is the last straw. I gotta leave. I gotta quit. And usually when that happens, it's terrifying because you have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to really trust that who you are becoming is going to start manifesting in the world and that this is just part of it. Because typically, if you trust that, if you don't let your emotions take over in those situations, and if you move those emotions through your body and give thanks that you're moving into the next phase, you will be in more alignment than you have ever been with your career or with whatever it is. The reason those things fall away is because they're not in alignment with our new vibration, our new self that we're asking for, that we're stepping into. And so some people fear that they won't be able to manifest the things that they want if they're feeling out of alignment or they're feeling depressed or they're feeling sad. And to that, I would say, just because you have one bad day does not mean that none of your wishes will come true. But sometimes it means that you're just not there yet. You're not in full alignment yet. You're not in a place where you're ready to manifest yet. And you will see little sparks, little manifestations come about that maybe are not your gigantic dream, but those little sparks are there to give you evidence that your energy is changing. And even those little difficulties, those little things falling away or starting to crumble are there to also give you evidence that you are shifting. So part of this is just being super aware of what's going on in your life and how it relates to what is in your internal world. And this kind of brings us to another point too, which is that sometimes we jump really far ahead and we want to manifest the ultimate goal, the ultimate dream and vision. And I won't say that that never happens. It can happen, and it's a lot more difficult to hold on to when it does happen typically. But the way to actually build confidence with making your desires a reality is to do it in bite-sized portions. So for example, I'm just using money because money is kind of one of the easiest things to talk about when we talk about manifestation. Let's say you want to be a person who makes $15,000 a month. That's your goal. That's your big goal. If right now you don't have a job, you don't have any income, you're unemployed, that is a really big jump to go from nothing to $15,000 a month. And the chances that you being unemployed are the person that's able to hold $15,000 a month within your energy, the chances of that are very slim. It is more attainable for you, both subconsciously and probably actually physically and logically, to go from unemployment to making a couple $1,000s a month. And then when you feel comfortable in that newness and grounded in that reality, I make $2,500 a month, then you can start thinking a little bit bigger. What are the things I need to do? What type of person do I need to be? What kind of attitude and belief system do I need to have to make $5,000 a month or $10,000? And then eventually taking small baby step by baby step up to that $15,000 that you want to manifest. And I'm talking about this with everything. So I think some people get discouraged because they make these big dreams and goals and they make their vision board and they put all of these incredible, fantastic things on there. And they say, in 2024, I want to have all of these things. But yet they have not built up the capacity to any of them. And they're just kind of waiting for a magical force to drop every experience, every material item in their hands. And again, it's more of a flow. It's more of a back and forth. It's more of an agreement day by day through your words, your actions, and your beliefs that you can move into that thing, that next thing. And each piece builds upon the next. Each shift in your energy builds upon the next energetic shift. Manifestation ultimately is just a lifestyle. It's just a change in your everyday reality that make bigger waves ultimately. But it starts really small. And it cannot be something that you want from a place of lack or wanting to escape pain. It's really kind of trippy because when you think, okay, I want to manifest this new job because I hate my current job, you are coming at it from a place of lack and from pain rather than acceptance and gratitude for what is. And sadly, lack and pain and that gripping feeling of wanting something so badly and praying for it so hard is kind of what holds us back from that flow with that divine creation. When we're gripping something so tightly, when we're so afraid of not getting it, deep down our belief is that we don't deserve it, that we can't get it, that we aren't worthy of it. And so if you're coming at something from a place of lack or a place of fear that it will never happen or you'll never get it and you just need it so bad, whatever it is, that environment only breeds more pain and more lack. And that's why, again, I say to go internal and start working with your own beliefs before you start to wish for things. I want to talk about that back and forth with the universe too for a second, with God, with the divine, however you want to label it, and that gripping sensation that we have toward things that we want so badly. Because you've all heard the story of I was looking for my soulmate and I was going to every bar and I was on every app and I was meeting people in my workout classes. Everywhere I could, I was meeting people. I was going on blind dates and I wanted it so badly. And then one day I gave up and I just stopped and it came to me. My soulmate came to me. And the reason for that is a couple of things. One is that we just talked about, which is going internal and focusing on yourself and focusing on you as a person is going to get you further than anything you could do outside of yourself. But the second reason is because you're allowing that flow with God, with the universe, with creation. That flow is a natural part of the process. Now, I'm going to do something crazy, and I'm going to quote the Bible here because Jesus was like one of the top manifestation coaches of all time. He talked about it a lot, and it's in the Bible a lot, and Christians like to pretend that it's not, but it is. And there's a verse that says, "Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." And people love to quote that verse. But what they leave out are the parts that say, trust the Lord. They're talking about God here. They're talking about that higher power. Trust. Have faith. And then later it says, commit your way to the Lord. Trust him, and he will do this. Trust. Commit. I'm not trying to preach to you, but sometimes in the culture of manifestation, we leave out a key component. People leave out a key component. And it is that we are in flow with the universe, with God. We're not meant to just kind of do everything on our own. We are spiritual beings in flow, in connection with the spirit world. And so manifestation is bringing those dreams, those desires, something that does not exist in this three-dimensional reality, down into this reality. From where? From that source energy, from God. So if we're not connected to that, if we're not aligned in some way to that trust and that line of energy, pure love, pure creation, if we're not connected there, then being in alignment with our own life is actually not very possible. And therefore, it makes manifestation really challenging. And to this, I'd like to say there are two types of manifestation. One is manifestation of the earth. Manifestation, making something a reality through work, labor, grit, like all of the things that we as humans do to create something. And then there is heaven manifestation, sky manifestation, ethereal manifestation, whatever you want to call it. And this is where miracles happen, unexpected blessings happen. The more you live in just that earth type of manifestation, it doesn't mean that things won't happen for you. It doesn't mean that you won't ever get the things that you want. You will, because you are a creator and you are working toward those things. And then there are the people who kind of wait around for just the miracles and the blessings, and they may never happen, or they might. But it's like a once in a lifetime type of thing. And they're like super connected at that heaven level, that sky level, but they're not connected to themselves internally. They're not connected to the work and the action of all of it. But when you put them together, when you become internally the person that you would be to hold all of the beautiful things you want, and when you take action that proves you are becoming that person, and at the same time you have that openness to things unfolding in a beautiful way, more beautiful than you could have dreamed it or imagined it, when you give that source energy the freedom to surprise you and to create along with you, that is where the magic happens. And that is ultimately true alignment, because we are both physical beings and spirit beings together, and both inform the other one, and we're meant to work with both in both worlds. And this is heaven on earth. When we are in both, that is alignment. That is where manifestation is born. Real, true, beautiful, full manifestation. So it's important to visualize what you want. It's important to see what you want clearly, because I and many of my friends have asked for things from the universe, and we've gotten it, but we weren't specific enough, and we got it in a really weird way. And that's part of the joy and part of the creation aspect. But when you're specific about what you want, and then you leave room for the how. You're unattached to the how. It leaves space for you to be surprised with something even better than you could have imagined. It will have elements of what you wanted. It will have the structure of what you wanted, but it'll be even better. So let's talk for a minute about things that might hold us back from manifesting. We've talked about it a lot up until this point, but there are a few other things I just want to mention in case you are in this process of trying to change your life and you want your reality to start looking like your internal self. So the first is that pain and sickness and lack are all things that bring you back to that earthly realm. They bring you back into that need to work for manifestation. And joy, peace, surrender, oneness, letting go, all of that bring you back into that spirit place. And so if you are in pain or sickness right now, there is a good chance that it's going to be really hard for you to access that more spirit place. And that should be your first goal before kind of trying to manifest anything into your reality. It's just going to be a lot easier that way and a lot more successful. People come to me all the time and they say, like, I believe this and I know I've changed my beliefs about this thing. And I fully, I've said the affirmations and my subconscious is definitely on board with getting this new thing, but it's still not happening. And to that, I would say sometimes it's just other energetic patterns and baggage that needs to be released. It's almost like you can think of it like baggage, like weighing you down energetically. And even though you've altered your belief system a little bit, there is still that residual energy in your field. So sometimes it's just a matter of moving some of those emotions, some of that energy out in order for you to have a better connection and a higher voltage so that the things you are believing, so that the frequencies you're putting out there are actually making their way out there. They're not like blocked by all of this energetic baggage you have. The other thing too to think about is they talk about like new level, new devil. So when you up level your energy to a new space, it's not like the process is over. If you're trying to grow in any way and you want to manifest yourself into one career and then you want to grow in that career, you're going to have to keep doing more internal work. And at each level, your subconscious is going to have to get comfortable there. And so when you first start making moves or seeing evidence that your internal work is manifesting externally, your subconscious might have a fear response. And so that's a really important thing to notice. And that's when things like self-sabotage and those sort of things start happening. Sometimes that is because you haven't worked yet enough internally. And sometimes it's just because you just need to work a little more with that acceptance piece of your new reality. With manifestation too, the truth of the matter is if you believe anything is possible, anything is actually possible. It all has to do with your beliefs. The catch is most people don't believe what they think they believe. Like I said, it's coming from a subconscious place. It's not coming from your consciousness. Your conscious thoughts have very little to do with this process. That's why affirmations are sometimes so hard, because all of that is like a conscious process. You're just repeating something over and over, but you don't actually believe it. And so doing the work to unpack what is actually there, what beliefs are actually there, is the thing that is going to allow you to eventually believe anything is possible. Because there is the place that you can step outside of the logic of reality where miracles are possible. And that is true faith. Most people don't have faith. And I'm not talking about faith in God or faith in anything else. Just that life is for you, that you can be and do anything you want. So building your reality, creating your reality, co-creating, is really learning to believe that anything is possible and determining if you don't believe that, why, what's there, and getting rid of it. moving it out. So this is why I'm laughing, because this episode again is just about internal healing again, because the reality is when you are healed internally or healing internally, it will manifest in your external reality. And so part of that is just recognizing that that's happening and continuing to trek on. And as you go, everything expands exponentially. So the more you heal, the more you heal. The more you heal, the more you're able to manifest. And then the faster you're able to manifest. And then the bigger you're able to manifest. Because you're healing even more. And you're stepping even more into alignment. You're clicking into that place. You're able to connect with that divine energy on a greater level. And you're able to connect with yourself on a greater level, more and better every step of the way. So as long as you're going and moving and intending to heal and to change, things will start moving, and then eventually it'll start happening rapidly. And soon you'll be so in alignment that manifesting for you is not a matter of sitting down and scripting something out or making a vision board. It is so just a part of who you are and your nature and your connectedness to the earth and to spirit that it just flows from your veins. It flows from your energy and it manifests in the world with a thought, with a breath, and you don't have to worry about it. You aren't worried about it. You don't have to think about it. That is the person you want to become, to manifest effectively. You don't have to fear that it won't come, because it's coming. If you are the highest version of yourself, if you are moving in that direction, what is meant for you is already here for you. You don't have to make anything happen. You don't even have to pray hard enough. It just is. And the last thing I'll say about this is that a lot of times you are more likely to manifest tools to where you want to go than manifesting the end result. And this is because it is a co-creation process. So if you're praying for something, if you're asking for something, if you're hoping and wishing for whatever it is, your dream vacation home, you might get a new job. You're like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. But you don't realize that that new job is providing you with resources to go build that dream home. Or maybe it's providing you with a connection and you meet a friend who connects you in some way with someone who has access to a more affordable dream home for you. So look for the things that you are manifesting that are tools to your end result. This is the fun. This is the excitement. If you think of manifesting like treasure hunting, like playing a game and beating levels, uncovering mysteries, rather than escaping a horror movie or running from your problems, then that is how life is meant to be. And that's going to put you in a place of acceptance, of gratefulness, of presence in the moment. And that is where the future is born. The future is not born in the future. It's not born by wishing and hoping. It's born by your everyday, in the moment choices and vibration. So living in this state of abundance, living in this state of presence and gratefulness and acceptance, and living in this state of who you are becoming will get you there faster than anything else. In the world of energy, time and space do not exist the same way they do in this reality. In the spiritual world, the spiritual realm, time and space do not exist in the same way. So if you're asking for something, if you're visualizing something, if you're praying for something and hoping for something, pray as if you already have it. Ask for it as if it's already yours. And if you don't believe that's true, then internally, that's what you focus on. Who do you need to become internally to believe that that's true, that you are worthy of that thing, that you're able to hold it? I think that's all I want to share today. So the next step for you is determining if you are in a place where you can actually carry the things that you want, or if you're in a place that needs a little bit of healing first. You don't have to be fully healed to start manifesting your desires into reality. But you do have to have a state of acceptance and awareness about where you are and what's possible. In my Substack article this week and in my membership, I'm going to put out some information for you that is going to be helpful in terms of a step-by-step process for manifestation and just some of this info written down so you have a reference point to look at. As always, if you want some one-on-one healing help, I am here for you. Or if you would like to join the Substack membership, it's $7.77 a month. And the link for that will be down here in the show notes. It's so fun to be on this journey with you, and I'm so excited to see the people that you are becoming as you heal and you start to manifest your desires into the world. I am rooting for you and I'm on your team. Love you so much. Talk to you next week.